We're diving deep into the work of Dr. Fei K, an alchemopath, whose profound insights in growing your battery show us exactly how to reclaim our psychic energy. Look, if you've ever felt like you're just a cog in a machine running on fumes just to keep someone else's life moving forward, this explainer is absolutely for you. We're going to break down the strict mechanics of how to stop living as a pawn in someone else's script and finally step into your true power.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts of human energy, I want you to honestly answer this. Are you playing your own game, or are you just a disposable battery for someone else's? It's a heavy question, right? Just take a breath and let that sink in for a second. Most of us go through our entire lives thinking we're doing the right thing by constantly giving. But we rarely stop to ask who or what is actually draining our tank.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The human psychic battery. 2. Master versus the pawn. 3. 3 stages of burnout. 4. The math of destiny. And 5. Taking back your game. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The human psychic battery. The internal reservoir of psychic energy.
To fundamentally redefine what a human being actually is in the grand ecosystem of the universe, we have to realize we aren't just a biological species, and we certainly aren't passive wires just letting energy flow through us into nowhere. As you can see illustrated here, we are master builders. We are tasked with not just channeling energy, but actively storing, condensing, and expanding this glowing inner core. You have an internal reservoir, and your primary job in this universe is to enrich the world by pushing that energy through the completely unique blueprint of your own personality. The capacity of your internal psychic battery is designed to literally skyrocket, but only if you know how to charge it.
And that brings us to the crucial point, what Dr. Fei K calls the law of the battery. You can only cultivate this energy and properly absorb the universe's power on one strict condition. If you live exclusively from your own perception, you have to unapologetically put your authentic self, the I, first. And you have to do it without feeling guilty for what others expect. I know, society brainwashes us to believe that putting ourselves first is selfish. But the absolute truth is, a person eaten alive by guilt cannot store a single drop of energy. They just broadcast fear and tension, constantly leaking their resources. True joy, generated from the honest standpoint of your authentic I, is the ultimate indicator that your battery is actually charging.
Section 2. Master versus the pawn. 2 paths of existence.
Life basically forces you down one of 2 very different paths. You can choose to be the master of the game. The master processes reality through their unique personality. They open their receptors, direct their energy outward, and pull it back upgraded, totally soaked in life experience. And that generates immense joy and expands their capacity. Or, out of fear of being called selfish, you buy into someone else's game. You become the pawn. The pawn is eaten alive by guilt, brainwashed to serve others, and bleeds their energy into a void with absolutely zero return. The sole purpose of a pawn is to burn out, draining every last drop of its raw energy to serve someone else's agenda until it finally just breaks.
Section 3. 3 stages of burnout. The mathematical crash and burn process.
Now, burnout, it isn't some random overnight accident. It's a highly sequential, mathematically certain 3-stage crash that happens when you sell out your authentic I. Stage 1 is white-knuckling, or willpower overdrive. A tough foreign problem pops up in someone else's game. You grit your teeth and muscle through it on sheer willpower, no feelings attached. You're dumping your energy into a void, getting zero enriched return, and your battery noticeably drops. You still remember what happiness is, but you are running on fumes. Then comes stage 2, drying up. The pressure stays on. You scrape the absolute bottom of the barrel and turn into the perfect, dead-inside corporate drone. You execute flawlessly, you get the math of it all, but your joy potential just flatlines entirely. If you used to laugh from your gut, now you've literally forgotten how to crack a smile. And finally, you hit stage 3, the disconnect, the breakdown. The tank is totally empty. Talk of happiness is completely out the window. At this point, it's strictly a fight for physical survival. The worst-case scenario hits. You sever ties with your source. Your soul goes radio silent. You can't even handle basic tasks anymore because the pawn is completely burned out and taken off the board.
Section 4. The Math of Destiny. Why the Universe Breaks Us.
I know it feels like brutal punishment when everything collapses, doesn't it? But actually, the overarching superconsciousness is hard at work weaving these exact scenarios.
Dead ends are strict mathematical equations. The universe purposefully uses unbearable external pressure to shatter your old patterns, tear down the sets of your fake games, and force an internal shift. It is breaking you down to wake you up to your real purpose, which is building your own power and returning to joyful lightness through introspection.
Section 5. Taking back your game. The reclamation of your inner essence.
When you finally decide to stop acting as expendable material, your inner essence dives right back into its native habitat. It heads back to its home planet, so to speak, a place where every moment of existence is saturated with effortless joy. Just look at the vibrant cosmic energy erupting on the screen right now. This is exactly what happens when you plug back into your own creative power. You step out of the void and you become the master of your own game, completely vibrating with life.
To actually execute this major internal pivot, you've got to get ruthless and adopt these practices. First, you have to melt away the fears and anxiety that bully you into worrying about what other people think. Second, you must develop the ability to cut loose people, situations, and projects that do not give you a return on your energy investment. Cut the things that just blindly drain your battery. Third, you need to cultivate the habit of freedom. Give yourself full permission to live guilt-free for choosing your own game. And finally, zero in on your true internal center. You need to be constantly shaking hands with your inner essence.
And that brings us to the absolute core message of Dr. Fei K's teaching. Let's read this quote together. Quit playing the convenient pawn. Only a total, unapologetic openness to your true joy will hand you back absolute power over your reality and finally bring you home. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you ready to stop living a half-life, draining your precious battery into the void, and instead unleash the unapologetic openness required to finally master your own game? Think about it. The choice is entirely yours.